Here I have everything that you will need to make your holiday ornament. Aluminum foil, scissors, cardboard, pencil, permanent markers, and glue. If you don't have all of these items at home, don't worry at all. You can always just use a piece of paper and crayons. I want to make sure that everybody is participating, whether you have these supplies or not. So let's get creative and be resourceful, and if you don't have all of these things, just try to find a piece of paper and some crayons and scissors. If you have something else that you want to add on to your ornament, feel free to be creative and think outside of the box. Okay, so today we're going to make an aluminum foil ornament. We're going to be looking at color, line, and pattern. Those are our elements of art that we're looking at today. So what you need to do first is get a piece of cardboard. I just found an old box around the house. You could also use like a cereal box. You need a cup or something to trace a circle with. I'll leave a little bit of space at the top because that is where we are going to draw the top part of our ornament hook. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is trace your circle around your cup. Okay, and then at the very top, I'm going to draw a rectangle for the ornament hook. Okay, if you want to draw another box on top of that, even you can. It's totally up to you. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and cut out my ornament. Like I said, this cardboard is very, very thick. You can use thinner cardboard. I'm using really strong scissors because it's so thick, but if you wanted to use like a cereal box or an empty box of food, you could do that as well. Okay, so I'm going to cut this out, try to stay on your line so everything looks nice, neat, and clean. Okay, so now here's the beginning steps to my ornament. Now, at this time, you can either use a hole punch or you can use a pencil to push through that cardboard. Mine's really, really thick to make a hole. If you can't do that, if your cardboard's too thick, you could always just glue a string onto the back. Okay, so I pushed my pencil through there, and that's going to be the hole for my ornament. Like I said, don't worry if you can't do that. You could always just glue a string or a piece of dental floss on the back or tape it to hang your ornament, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it on the aluminum foil and I'm going to trace again. Okay, now I need 2 of these. So instead of cutting out and then tracing again and cutting out, I'm just going to go ahead and fold this in half. Okay, that way when I cut it out, I'll have 2 of the same size. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this. Like I said, if you don't have aluminum foil, don't worry. You can always use paper. This just makes it really nice and shiny for Christmas. Or whatever holiday you are decorating for. Okay, so I'm staying right on that line so it's a perfect match when I use this to cover my cardboard. Okay? So I'm going to put this aside. And now comes the fun part. So I have 2 pieces of foil, and I'm going to be using these to cover up my ornament, okay? But before I do that, I'm going to take a pencil, and you want to make sure that your pencil is not super sharp, all right? And you cannot press very hard because we don't want to poke a hole through our foil. We just want to emboss the foil, and that means we want to make a line, an impression on there, okay? So we're looking at color, line, and pattern. So let's start with our line first. So you need to choose at least 3 types of lines, okay, on your ornament. I'm going to choose a straight line, a zigzag line, and a dotted line. Okay, there's many more. You could choose a wavy line, you could choose a loop-de-loo line, you could choose a dashed line. It's totally up to you, but choose at least 3. Okay, so now on my ornament, I'm going to come over here. I'm not going to press down hard. Make sure it's on your cardboard, okay? Otherwise it's going to poke through. I'm going to start with my straight line, and then you'll see on the back it's going to give you that raised line. And you know what? I'm actually going to turn this over and do this on the other side, so when I turn it over, that line's raised up. So I'm going to turn it on the back. I'm going to draw my zigzag line, my dotted line, and this pencil's even a little bit too sharp, and a straight line. Okay, now where does the pattern part come into play? Well, what I'm doing is I'm repeating my lines over and over. So I'm going straight, zigzag, dot, straight, zigzag, dot. Okay, that's a pattern. We're repeating. We are repeating lines. Okay, so you need to show pattern in your ornament. Now when I flip this over, I don't know if it's picking it up very well on camera, but this feels like it's raised up, okay? It has a little bit of texture on it, which is also another one of our elements of art. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put some glue on the back of my ornament. And I'm gonna press very gently down on my foil and line this up and glue it down. It's okay if some of that marker shows because you're gonna be adding color. Now, remember when we put our hole through there, I'm just gonna find the place where my hole was and I'm gonna poke my pencil through it. Okay? So now I can put a piece of string when I'm finished, or maybe you have an ornament hook at home so that this can hang up. Either you can put it on your tree or somewhere in your house to decorate if you do not celebrate with a tree. Okay, so I'm ready now to do the fun part, which is adding the color, okay? So I would like for you to show on your ornament the 3 primary colors or the 3 secondary colors. Now, if you want to use a pattern like we did with the lines, that's another great choice, but you don't have to do that because you did show pattern with your line. So let's remember that our primaries are red, yellow, and blue. Okay, we use our primaries to make our secondaries. Our secondaries are purple, orange, and green. Okay, so let's talk about your color scheme. I want you to show primary and the secondary on your ornament, okay? If you want to do the traditional color scheme of red and green, for Christmas, that's fine, but I'm going to challenge you that when you put your green down, try to create your green by mixing two colors, okay? If you're able to do that. If you don't have permanent markers, if you're using just limited colors, that's fine. Just use whatever you have, but I'm going to throw in a little challenge there to show a primary and a secondary. And I'm going to be asking you all as your exit ticket before you leave, how did you create your secondary? Okay, so let's go with our primary red. And you can see that this permanent marker shows up really, really well on the aluminum foil. You don't have to color the whole thing, okay? It's all right to leave some of that silver showing because it's going to be nice and shiny. Okay, so there's my red. Remember, you cannot mix the primaries. The primaries are just their own colors. Okay, so there's my primary. And then I'm going to put green for my wavy line, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to come and use a blue. Oops, that's a fine point. A blue. And if you remember from our color mixing, blue and yellow make green. Okay, and then I'm gonna go back over that with my yellow, and that is going to give me green. Now, I realize that all of you probably do not have all these colors. That's okay. If you cannot mix the colors up, just use whatever colors you would like. But as you are leaving, as your exit ticket, we are going to share out what is our primary color that we're showing on our ornament, what is our secondary color, or if you have just one of them, and how you would make that secondary. Okay, so we're going to label them. So there's my red. So I think I'm going to go back with my, or there's my green, I'm sorry. Then I'm going to go back with my red, and I'm just going to go over that embossing. Gives it a really nice shine and texture. And it's really up to you, boys and girls, how you want to add your details. I just want you to be able to label your primaries and secondaries. Okay, now on the inside of this one, I think I'm going to use a different shade of green. And I mixed my green up there, so for this one, I'm going to just go ahead and add green. Okay, go back in. I'm going to go under that embossed line. I'm going to make my green again by mixing blue first, and then adding the yellow. It's making a nice green. Notice how I'm leaving some of the silver showing. Now, for the sake of time, if we have time during class and you want to do another design on the other foil and glue it on the back, you can. If we run out of time or you run out of time, you can always just glue this on. But remember, boys and girls, art class is not over when the bell rings for class. You could always work on this on your own in your house, okay, in the evening when you get your homework done, just for fun. So I'm just going to go ahead and right now glue this one on. Remember to put our hole there for our string. And now I have completed a beautiful holiday ornament. To finish it off, add your name and the date, 2020. So you will always have this as a keepsake. Okay, I hope you all have fun. Now it's time to get to work.